We've got some hellos, we've got some goodbyes, and we've got some speculation. It has been a chaotic Sunday for the Philadelphia Eagles, and a Sunday that I was asleep for most of after yesterday's 24-hour stream, so I woke up to a barrage of news that I've decided to put together into one digestible, bite-sized cookie for all of you to digest. So buckle up, we're about to get into everything that happened with the Eagles on Sunday. Let's kick things off with probably the most heartbreaking sentiment, and it is that Duce Staley predictably wants out of Philadelphia. According to John Clark, he's willing to let his contract expire, but he wants out of that before then. You can't really blame him. Like, it's so upsetting. He deserved so much better. Not only was he a fantastic running back for this team, he was a coach with that position from 2011 through to today. So he's gone through 3 different eras of Eagles football. He's stayed on every single time. It feels like every year he is expected to become an incredible candidate for an offensive coordinator role, and the Eagles block it. Or he gets blocked for a promotion, or he ends up running for a head coach with the Eagles this year, and it doesn't happen. There are only so many opportunities that are going to be ripped away from him, either in terms of being blocked by the team or just not fairly presented to him by the team, until he goes, I've hit a glass ceiling here. Like, what more can I do for this organization to prove that I'm worthy of an offensive coordinator role? Like, he's already the assistant head coach. It's so like there are no other roles he can get on the road to offensive coordinator and then head coach. He's already at the top of that tree. My fear came true, I think, in that Jeffrey Lurie looked at that offensive coordinator by committee, cut off the rest of the snake in Marty and Rich Scangarello, and saw Duce Staley at the top of the pile, and it may have given him some reservations after, of course, the way the offense looked in 2020. So Duce Staley wanting out of Philadelphia, it's heartbreaking, but it's something we ultimately, I think, have been prepared for a while, because as much as he deserves better, the team just seem unwilling to give it to him. As for Jeff Stoutland, though, he will stay. No real significant news there, but it is worth noting because it's another head coach change, and you don't really know if Stoutland wants to stay, would maybe move on, or would seek a promotion somewhere. But as someone that has really developed some of the key members of this Eagles offensive line, from Evan Mathis and Jason Kelsey at the start, right through to Lane Johnson, Brandon Brooks, the continued evolution of Jason Peters, and even guys like Halapoulivaati Vaitai, Isaac Seumalo, Jordan Mailata, people that were maybe not NFL ready at a time, well, for Mailata at least, or Big V, not seen to be a starter by many, then goes out and gets a $50 million contract in Detroit. Stoutland has been a wizard along this offensive line, and considering how broken it was this season, keeping him around, letting him develop that young talent is going to be absolutely pivotal to its rise back to the top. Next up, John Dorsey's stint in Philadelphia lasted all of 7 minutes. He's now already out of the building, walking into a front office role with the Detroit Lions. Now, we don't actually know when Dorsey joined Philadelphia. It was officially announced to a degree back in December, but he reportedly helped the team during the 2020 draft, so I don't know, but it's a bit confusing because Roseman has always seemed to have, at least in this era, someone helping him, someone on his shoulder, giving him a little bit of a tweet. Whether that be Joe Douglas, whether that be Andrew Berry, whether it be Dorsey, there's always been someone in that room with him, and there isn't that possibility now. And it might be Jeffrey Lurie doubling down, saying, well, since we've parted ways with Peterson, then let's go all in on Roseman. Let's let him run riot, and if it goes wrong, then you're out the door. Maybe it's that kind of mentality, as reckless as that may sound, or maybe it is just a case of Dorsey got a front office role and that's sort of the end of it. Either way, a bit interesting to say the least, considering that apparently a few days ago, he had a major role in deciding the new head coach due to overlapping in Kansas City in a tweet by ESPN Radio. That tweet isn't true. Wrong Dorsey. The two never overlapped. One came into Kansas City as the other one left, and that was the end of it. So either way, Dorsey's on the way out. But if you took the over on Indianapolis coaches walking into Philadelphia, you're going to be a very happy person today. Kevin Patillo will be the 3rd Indianapolis coach to join the Philadelphia Eagles. The role he will fill is of passing game coordinator. Now, the biggest thing here, if anything else, forget everything else you know about this man. Previously in that role was Press Taylor. Press Taylor is no longer passing game coordinator. Now, Patillo has drawn a lot of positivity from Frank Reich. He's someone that worked with the Colts as their wide receivers coach from 2018 to 2020, meaning he did overlap with none other than Marcus Johnson. He's still my beating heart. He's worked as a QB coach with the Jets, and a receivers coach with the Titans, as well as a few other NFL stops and some college stops along the way. Most recently of those was a Texas A&M senior offensive consultant role. Now, does this scream there are still too many chefs in the kitchen? Do the Eagles need a passing game coordinator? I don't really know. I thought this was supposed to be, you know, getting better and stopping that problem. But either way, I mean, we can't really judge it until it happens. Maybe the formula was right and the people were wrong. Maybe this role isn't as intense as perhaps we're making out. But it's cool to see Press Taylor, more than anything, out of that role. While we're talking about people being given the boot, we've got one more person to talk about, and that is Matt Burke. He was the team's defensive line coach this year, which feels very weird because the Eagles ranked 4th in sacks per game. Brandon Graham had a career year. Fletcher Cox, Malik Jackson, Javon Hargrave all picked up steam towards the end. Josh Sweat looked brilliant. I'm not a big Matt Burke fan, believe me, I'm really not. I thought, although given that, he was going to probably be given the inside track to defensive coordinator. However, he's been fired, presumably, because apparently the team are bringing in Tracy Rocker, formerly of the Tennessee Vols, as their new defensive line coach. Now, Rocker's got a ton of collegiate experience. He's been in the ranks since 1994. He's been with the Vols since 2017, so he didn't quite overlap with Derek Barnett, but he has coached players such as Trent Cole, Greg Hardy, D. Ford, DeMarcus Ware, Osi Umenyiora, who is obviously now presenting NFL coverage in England. Hello. But I just think the most bizarre thing is that they're firing Burke, I guess. Like, or maybe we're giving him a new role because they did this last year with Philip Daniels. There was no real reason for them to fire. Philip Daniels. I think Philip Daniels did a pretty good job, but somehow, some way, they thought, nah, let's give it to Matt Burke. He was brought on as an assistant to Jim Schwartz. He was then given the defensive line coach and, of course, was the defensive run game coordinator. Now, is he still the defensive run game coordinator? Is he going to be given the boot on that front? I don't know, but it's just interesting that they've now got rid of Press Taylor and Matt Burke. We'll see what happens. Maybe they'll both be given new roles. Maybe Press is relegated back to QB coach. Maybe we're going to see Matt Burke just stay as defensive run game coordinator. But if that's the case, they're going to be making roles for everything. And I would quite personally like to be considered in the running for a coach who develops the actual linebackers. Please. Hey, you have the rest of a great weekend, guys. I'll see you soon with some more content here at Philly Sports Network. If you enjoy it, don't forget you can get written content from myself and all of our staff over at phillysportsnetwork.com. We'd love to see you over there. From myself, Liam Jenkins, I'll see you soon. Take care.